Other than finding a way to escape the immediate volatility of non-pegged cryptocurrencies, why would anyone choose to hold stable coins? Well, if you're wondering why I'm even asking that question, I encourage you to keep watching this video because I will be imparting a little bit of perspective on stable coins and especially who is issuing them and what is backing them. It's a pretty important thing to pay attention to, especially as stable coins only are gaining more popularity and approval by some governments, especially since they're the ones issuing them. Anyway, that's what we're talking about today, so don't go anywhere. So the topic of today's video has a lot to do really about why cryptocurrencies even exist and how they are disruptive. Like, what are they disrupting? If you're not sure what that is, or if you're just starting your journey on learning about all this, hi and welcome, congratulations, and I invite you to explore links to more of my videos. You can go through, a ton of videos on this channel. Also, I will be providing links to some specific ones down below in the video description, so I definitely invite you to check those out. In the meantime, here we go. So, anyone who is holding decentralized, open source, permissionless cryptocurrencies and who has the faintest clue as to the long game of this space, for example, again, why it was created or how it is disruptive, for example, is most likely still holding on to these cryptocurrencies because they are hedging against the ever-increasing worrisome state of centralized fiat currencies like the US dollar and the euro, for example. Now, I say increasingly worrisome because historically, the average lifetime for any fiat currency is 27 years, with the shortest only lasting for 1 month, and the longest lasting fiat currency to ever exist being the British pound sterling, which lasted 317 years. Now, typically, an existing monetary system will fail in 30 to 40 years and will need to be reworked. Now, in regard to the US dollar, the last time this occurred was in the year 1971 when US President Nixon took them off the gold standard, effectively removing the ability for individuals to go to the bank and convert their paper dollars into gold, which until then was required to be had on hand in order to maintain some sort of consistency regarding the buying power of the USD. Now, I'm focusing on the USD here because simply it is the current world reserve currency, and the status of this particular fiat currency has the potential to quite easily affect other economies around the world. And the mismanagement of it could therefore destabilize a great many other nations outside of the US. Flash forward to the year 2019, and governments around the world are still trying to properly recover from the effects of the global financial crisis of 2008, which, by the way, in a nutshell, is exactly why cryptocurrencies exist. Now, the creation of cryptocurrencies were well on its way before 2008, but this crisis definitely, I'm sure, put a spark into Satoshi Nakamoto and those who are really fighting to create something different. Anyway, getting back to this topic, central banks around the world, but particularly the Federal Reserve in the US and the European Central Bank, have been trying everything from quantitative easing to now issuing repos around the clock to stimulate their respective economies, but mostly they have just printed an obscene amount of money in an effort to encourage the issuance of more debt in the form of loans. And really, at this point, saying that they're printing money, even that is a stretch, because at this point all they need is a fat finger on some zeros and they have effectively created trillions of dollars in an instant. But anyway, the sad part is the only absolute certainty of these efforts of the quantitative easing and of the repo market, the only absolute certainty of these efforts are the guaranteed devaluing of their currency and increasing the risk of hyperinflation, and quite frankly, moving up that expiration date of that fiat currency. These governments by now have certainly heard of Bitcoin and have become even more alarmed by the proposal of Facebook's coin called Libra. Once the dust somewhat settled, one after another, these governments have voiced their interest in creating their own very centralized, very controlled form of digital currency. I'm calling these digital currencies because they don't have the right to be called a cryptocurrency. They don't have the attributes that I listed at the very start of this video. No government would let go of their control over something so powerful and influential as their own currency. Heaven forbid they should invite their citizens to play an active role in securing its network, or have the ability to self-audit the code and come to their own conclusions as to its resiliency, which, by the way, is exactly what Bitcoin and other open source, decentralized, permissionless cryptocurrencies allow. They allow anyone to partake in the securing of its network by running their own node. They also, if it's open source, allow anyone to take a look at the source code and see exactly how it's running, why things are the way that they are, and come to your own conclusions if you want to partake in it. It is a voluntary system, and in that way, it's beautiful. But no. Instead, governments like China, and now even Christine Lagarde of the ECB, again, that's the European Central Bank, have shown possible interest of creating their own digital currency in the form of stablecoins. The thing about stablecoins is that their only value comes from what to which they are pegged. Any governmentally issued stablecoin, or really any stablecoin that piggybacks its stability from fiat reserves, is therefore also subjected to the very scenario I described earlier. Again, that is devaluation and an expiration date. For those of you who are wondering what else could go wrong with using a governmentally issued stablecoin, I encourage you all to check out the links to additional reading down below in the video description. Here's a hint: it has a lot to do with data tracking, currency controls, and censorship.